All right, so we know that this match is Namtran's deck versus Painter. It's in the semifinals. We are. I'm talking to my my men on the ground. They're pulling up the list. They're trying to reset the stream. So I still don't have the Painter list, but I'm pretty familiar with what's in it. One interesting thing about the Painter versus Shops matchup is that the Painter combo pieces come down under lock pieces pretty easily. Painter can be cast through a Thorn of Amethyst. Painter and Grindstone can both be cast through a Lodestone Golem. So you can combo off fairly easily through lock pieces. Pretty significant in that matchup. But on the other hand, you are playing this blue deck with a bunch of draw spells, which is you don't like against Spheres. So we will see how that works out. Heading over back to the feature match. Come on, load up. Remote camera. All right. All right, we have it working. So we're in the middle of the action. Both players have a bunch of stuff on the board. I would guess that's good for Jake. I mean, obviously we haven't been watching this game, but when both players have a bunch of cards on the board, it's usually good for the non-lock deck. And Nam does not have any lock pieces out. So I'm going to guess Jake is ahead this game unless he's at very low life, which we don't know because we just came back. Pass it to Jake. Untapping all that mana. No lock pieces. Not bad. Looks like he's got a force. I can't tell what that red card is. I'm guessing it's a Pyroblast. Yeah, 2 Pyroblasts. 2 Pyroblasts, not so great right now, but if he draws a Painter, it suddenly becomes good. Fetching out of Volk. Yeah, Jake's hand was not super exciting for this matchup. It certainly gets a lot better if he draws a Painter. Suddenly those 2 Pyroblasts turn on instantly. But, you know, Archbound Ravager and Hangerback Walker is very good against removal. That's what those cards do. I don't know what Revoker's naming. So I don't know whether he's naming Grindstone or a Mana Source. It's obviously not naming Moth Jet because he just tapped it. Dig through time. Not bad. Again, really, the favorite in this matchup has a lot to do with life totals right now. If Jake has time, then his hand is fine. He's in great shape. But if he does not have time, then obviously he loses. Magic is tempo. Let's say Dak Faden and a Vampiric Tutor, both awesome cards right now. Yep, so Revoker is not naming an artifact. It's not naming a Mana Source. It must be naming Grindstone. That's my best guess. So he gets it right now. Now, Ravager's good against Dak Faden, but just being able to kill his Ravager with the Dak Faden is pretty solid. Or maybe he draws 2 and discards 2 and gets rid of those Revs. Not the worst move. They're both decent plays. Yeah, so Dak tries to steal the Ravager. If he steals anything else but the Ravager, then Namtran just sacks that in response. If he steals a Ravager, the Ravager sacks it to itself. Now, very easy for Nam to come back and kill the Dak on his turn, so Dak ends up just killing the Ravager and gaining like 2 life. But, you know, sometimes that's what you need. Not the best use of Dak Faden, but probably the right use of Dak Faden. All right, kills the deck as expected. Passes back. Upkeep, Vamp. Lots of great options for Jake. My guess is that he's getting a Tinker for Sphinx here. But Painter would not be bad either. Painter would give him lots of options. But yeah, it looks like he's getting Tinker. I'm going to guess he's finding Sphinx. Sphinx is what's really going to hold off a Hangerback Walker here. I can't read the number on Hangerback Walker, but I'm pretty sure it's not like 6 or 7. It's not as big as it would need to be to just take down a Sphinx. Pretty good. Jake Hilty running Sphinx of the Steel Wind as his Tinker target. And obviously Painters and Grindstones in the Painter deck. As one would expect.
Tinker monster just isn't there. Oops. First strike, vigilance, like nothing. It has a first strike. I've done it. Surprisingly.
Nam takes damage off the Mana Crypt, which didn't matter last turn, but it does matter this turn. It's not a good stream without a cat ruining everything. Jake Hilty gets in there with that Sphinx. Jake's just drawing cards, firming up the lock. Every counter he draws is amazing here. He does have a handful of Pyroblast, which is not amazing, but would be good if he draws a Painter later.
Why even bother rolling? So what are we, just like X and 10 at this point? It's been damage. It's been out of this turn. Correct.
Do not know how big that Hangerback Walker is. It looks like a 4 to me. 4 is not big enough to matter. It would need 2 turns to become big enough, 3 turns to be big enough to kill the Sphinx, and that is enough time for Jake to win the game.
Show me the money. 246. Those are good cards.
Damn, showing the hand. I'm guessing that's a 6 mana. He's got some big Hangerbacks there.
No, I wasn't gonna say. I was kind of your amount of damage you were gonna attack when you want to attack. 6.
Metalworker does change things a little bit. He might get enough threats on the board to overcome it, to overcome the Sphinx. But 6 damage and 6 life return is tough to race. I think they said 8 to 17. I'm not totally sure. Jake is definitely at 17. Not sure what Nam's at. I think it's 8. Jake draws and passes. His hand before was 3 Rebs, 3 Pyroblasts, and 1 unknown card.
Why am I playing that card the whole time? Oh my god, how did I make it here? Whoops. Alright, so you had me at the other time, but okay, yeah. The loser gets whole milk and cookies. So we don't have to keep playing. What? Well, I am super happy. Super happy. I'm a loser. Thanks, Tran. You appreciate me. Here, wait, ask this for you. You do not.
Nam is not in great shape, but he does have a Triskelion in hand. If he draws a Ravager with those Hangerback Walkers, he could sack the Hangerback Walkers, sack all the tokens, put something like, 9, 10 counters on a Triskelion. That could, and then kill the Sphinx with the Triskelion and then attack for lethal. He still has outs, absolutely. He has plenty of cards that would be good for him here, but he does not have them yet. I want to say he drew a Trinisphere, the top card of his deck, of his hand, but I can't be clear.
He doesn't even have to, like, kill me if he does it immediately. I mean, because he can just block forever.
That's how you lost game 1 of our match.
Yeah.
Ravager off the top, kill you anyway.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, sure. Because, sure. Turns out.
Yeah, Ravager is the card that Nam wants. That's the best card for him to draw right now.
If that hasn't been told to people, take it.
There is at least one in the graveyard. There might be 2. We missed the beginning of the game, so there is a chance there's a second Ravager in the graveyard. That would mean he only has 1 left in his deck. Ravager's an interesting card because on its own it's not very great, but in combination with other cards and against other cards, it can be real strong. It is often the card you need to draw. He's got Triskelion in hand. And 2 cards I cannot figure out.
That's his plan. Turtles recall. He's ready. He meant the old blue card recall to the next actual return. Yeah. You return your Ravager. It seems insane. It's always minus a card, though.
It's okay. Ravagers.
He's no blocks. Damn it. You figured it out. Yeah. 13. It's possible that was what I was counting your board that. Yeah. They may or may not dump on me. 100 manas.
Hairback getting in there. Or tapping? I'm not sure.
He's in there. If you give me 13 somehow right here, I'm really upset.
I think Jake needs to just survive 1 turn. Painter would be the best card he could draw right now. Demonic is really good. Yep, he has access to Demonic. First thing that occurs to me is getting a Painter, but lots of other options too. Oh, Time Walk. He just got a Time Walk. He hasn't played it yet. Is that Time Walk? Yeah, that's the Time Walk. All right, Jake wins game 1. And obviously, as you guys know, winning game 1 against Shops, not unlike winning game 1 against Dredge, is very, very good.
That is accurate. Against you, it doesn't seem to be it. Or is it?
Oh, trying to take a look at his board. Again, we don't have Jake's board. He did mention it. He did show it to the stream after an earlier round, but I did not write it down. Against Tiny Robots, he boarded down to 1 Red Elemental Blast. but he might not board in the same cards against Nam. It's a slightly different deck. He might have different plans. Now, Nam, on the other hand, it's kind of a tough call. He could bring in Dismember to kill Painters to stop the combo from going off, but it's not exactly an aggro deck. He could bring in the creatures, but I'm guessing he won't. I think his main deck is probably better suited to this matchup than his sideboard. It's just his choice whether he wants to bring in the Dismembers as just an answer to the Painters or not. Dismember can sometimes kill a Sphinx of the Steel Wind if you have another creature out, but it doesn't always get there.
Also, not even a real magic card. And then another control magic, just blue, control magic and non-Jedi. Guess what? Everything is neither a Sith nor a Jedi. There are like 4 Sith and like 2 Jedis in the cube. So it's just straight up control magic. Yeah,
I can overhear the other players talking about how many Sith and Jedi are in the cube because they're playing the Reddit Star Wars cube, which I have not seen. But sounds pretty entertaining. So I don't remember the exact cards in Jake's sideboard, but I know he has Ingot Chewers. He's got the Dax main deck. He has, I want to say, Shattering Spree. Ingot Chewers, Shattering Spree sideboard. But I'm not totally sure. But he does have, he's got a reasonable sideboard against shops. It's not super aggressive, but he does have, at least 5 cards to bring in. All right, we're going into game 2. Nam Tran is going to be up. Workshops on the play. One of the scariest phrases in Vintage is workshops on the play. I guess the other one is Dredge Game 1. As far as I know, there were 0 Dredge decks in this tournament. I think people decided not to play it in a low-key event. But, yeah, I'm not aware. I don't have every deck list for the tournament, but I do have most of them, and I did not see any Dredge. Looks like Jake has a 1-land hand. He's got a Force and he's got an Ingot Chewer, so it's you could defend to keep, but it is risky. I think that motion means he is keeping. He's got Force and Ingot Chewer, which is, definitely something you want against shops in the draw. But a Wasteland's very risky. Does not look like Nam has a Wasteland, though. I do not see one. It's a Force pitching. I believe it takes 3 time. Oh, that is not an Ingot Chewer, is it? I can't quite tell, but he does have a Painter and a Grindstone. So if he draws a Mox, he's in really great shape. But Nam is of course running Revokers in his deck. I do not see it in his hand. I do see what looks like another Ravager. Yeah, Jake has a Tinker, a Chewer, and a Painter. Great cards, but he does not have the mana to play them. Alright, so Nam Tran plays the sword, but he does not have enough to equip. That's very important because Jake has the Chewer. He cannot Chewer the Ravager. Putting on the slightly nicer looking sword. He can't Chewer the Ravager if it's equipped, but he can now. He might still take the sword out. Yeah, playing the Grindstone first to get the Mox online makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, killing that sword. Sounds good. I'm guessing that Nam sacks the sword to the Ravager. So Jake can play Painter next turn and win the turn after if Nam has no Revokers. Lodestone's quite good, but Painter combo, as I said earlier, comes down underneath it. Land there. So Jake could either play Painter and pass or play Tinker. They're both good plays here. I think I like playing the Painter. He names blue. Against some decks that matters. Against workshops it does not. Well, it matters in the sense that he keeps his Pyroblast still on. But his opponent is not going to have any Force of Wills or Pyroblasts to make that blue a bad call. Is that a Dismember? I think it might be a Dismember. Yeah, that is unfortunate for Jake. He does still have the Tinker to follow it up with, but he might not. He's got enough life. I think the follow-up Tinker is not bad here. He might not have enough life. If he had more life, he could Tinker for Painter and then win again next turn. But we will see. Oh, I think he has one less mana than I thought. I don't think he can Tinker. I think he only has 3 mana up. I don't know why I thought he had 4 mana before. But it does not look like it. Doesn't mean he couldn't draw land. But right now he just doesn't have it. Yep, choose land. Play the Tinker. So, Sphinx versus Painter. He has to see if he's going to die next turn. He's counting it up. I don't know his life total, so I don't know how accurate his math is. But if he's not going to lose next turn, then getting Painter is better. If he would lose next turn, he can just get Sphinx, and that will save him. Yeah, he doesn't want to risk it. I think what Jake is saying is that if Nam plays more artifacts, he loses to the Ravager damage, so he doesn't want to do that. Sphinx will keep him around for a few turns.
I know. But I was like, I don't even know if that, like, sorry. I mean, that's definitely the best thing I can do. I just don't know if it's good enough. It might. The thing is, like, he has a huge amount of damage and loads on attacking, and since, like, that doesn't work anymore, this, like...
I cannot see what's in Nam's hand. If he has another Dismember, then it's over. He can... Jake wins it. But if he does not, then if Namtron has a Dismember, then Nam wins it. If he does not, then the Sphinx is going to be really good for Jake.